जयपुर वाया कोटा
कृपया ध्यान आपो अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत
लखनऊ जंक्शन
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವರೆ ಚೆನ್ನೈ
Hyderabad को 50 एक्सप्रेस পরবর্তী স্টেশন নেতাজি ভবন कृपया ध्यान दियो
It's 15 years today since the exciting, the marvelous IPL came rolling into our lives, and it continues to enthrall. It enthralled us at the Chinnaswamy yesterday and many moons ago in 2008 as well. Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. My name is Saiyami Kher. 15 years ago, I was a cricket geek. I'm just an older cricket geek now. In the house today, we have two Hall of Famers celebrating this special day. Welcome to the show, Lisa. Well, she's not in the house. She's at her house in Australia. But Polly is with us in the house here. Welcome, both of you all.
Thank you.
15 years, guys. How does it feel?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, to think I was part of the first one, played in that one. I've coached in a couple and obviously been involved in the media side of things. Time flies while you're having fun. And it really has been a hell of a journey. To think it's already 15 years is such a surprise. But such good memories, you know, from playing, from being involved, some of the performances. It's come to South Africa. We've seen it in Dubai, Abu Dhabi. So it's been spread around as well. So the favourite one was the one that took place in South Africa for obvious
not
reasons.
the one when you got Ganguly and McCullum in your first over.
No, you forget those ones quickly. Those moving on. To be in South Africa and have the RPL, that was the different experience. But we've enjoyed them all. And I don't know, maybe pick one of Mumbai's 5 wins as the highlight. Is 5 wins. So go down one of those roads.
Lisa, do you have a more specific
Showing off
answer?
now.
Yeah, do you have a more specific answer? Because Polly's got so many wins under MI's belt. So do you have my specific answer would probably be Masters 89 against Rajasthan and those 3 fours that he hit against Shane Warne still feels like yesterday. Do you have a more specific answer?
Yeah. Well, mine's slightly different in the fact that I was with Cricket New South Wales at the time, and we had brought over an under 18 boys and girls stateside to train and get used to. Now, out of the boys' side was a very young Adam Zampa, and from the women's side, it was actually Elise Perry, Elisa Healy, Sarah Coit. There's a number of girls that actually went on to play Australia. So we were staying in Chinnaswamy. So we got to kind of see, as typical Indian style, everything get built in like 2 or 3 days. We saw the guys train, and a couple of the girls, Healy and Perry, actually tell a great story that they met this young Indian boy named Virat Kohli, and he said, "I'm going to be the next big thing," right? So it's quite funny that basically all 3 of them have gone on to succeed and be very, very successful cricketers in their own right. But it was cool just being in the stadium to see the first match. And then obviously everything transpired from then on, you know, is in the history books.
Wow, that's quite an exciting story to, think that Virat Kohli would predict what's going to happen 15 years hence. But I'm somebody who can always live in a nostalgic era, talking about what happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But we have a match on hand and we have lots that's happening on the points table because there's this middle order muddle in the points table. We see both Mumbai and Hyderabad at 8 and 9. Both of them want to pick up these 2 points because then they'll go higher up in the middle order. But there is that middle order muddle that the team that wins today will get those 6 points. Polly, you think, it gets really crowded there in the middle?
It is crowded, but you don't mind that. You don't mind being in the crowd. I think the big issue for both these teams is if they lose. Then all of a sudden there's going to start to be a little bit of a separation between them and the crowd. And, if you look at or watch any athletics events, when you start to see the leaders running away from you, to know how to get past them is quite a challenge. So I think that's the big thing about this game. In many ways, the win is important and you want to get a win under your belt, but it's not really going to get you to any great states. But a loss will really start to put you on the back foot and make you start to feel that you're under a little bit of pressure. So both these teams, 2 wins in their last games. So a bit of confidence on the shoulders at the moment. But I think it should be really interesting.
Lisa, both the teams going in for the hat-trick today because like Polly said, both of them have had 2 wins and they both beat KKR in their last match. So both coming in with that confidence into today's game?
Yeah, huge confidence for both of the sides. And things are starting to click. You know, the first few games, things didn't necessarily, especially for Hyderabad, they didn't really have their captain. And as soon as he's come in, and also some of their bowlers, Mayank Markande certainly has played an important role. And same for Mumbai. Their top order, which can be so potent, is only just starting to click. Now, I know we're not allowed to say the M word on the Cricbuzz show, but as a team, you want to consistently start to win games. And when you start to do that, everyone feels like they're contributing. You start to get a really good feel. You start to believe that you can win from any situation. And that is huge when you start to get to the pointy end. So this game is really crucial for both sides.
Well, we won't use the M word, but we can say it's a streak. We can be smart and use a word close enough to the M word, which is momentum. But Polly, very important for every team to have a winning streak going their way, because that just builds that confidence in the camp.
Yeah, it is. Everything starts to settle down, mainly from a team selection perspective. And both these sides have sort of tinkered with combinations. I don't think they've all hit their perfect combinations as yet. Sunrisers are probably closer to their better combination. I think Mumbai is still on the bowling front. I'll be very interested to see what they decide to go with today, because they're batting with, they've had superstars, they've got guys who can win games on their own, but bowling wise doesn't look as the most formidable outfit that we've ever seen bowling wise from Mumbai.
Well, I have an update from the centre that Hyderabad have won the toss and they're bowling first.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise again. I think this is like I've been on the show 10 times. I've said this 10 times. Whoever's won the toss is bowling first. The one update we have is Jansen's not going to be playing for Hyderabad. Lisa, I was really looking forward to both the twins playing against each other.
Yeah, according to our intel, it would have been only the second time that they would have played against each other. So that's a shame. Maybe a little niggle, but certainly has played and had an important impact already. So it's a shame, especially in the power play. So I think that could be potentially a big loss for them.
So Berendorf comes in place of Jansen. Arjun Tendulkar still...
Oh, the other Jansen.
Oh, yeah. So that's
right.
Okay.
So you got to...
Sorry. My bad.
Yeah, I was also surprised. I was thinking, why would they drop him?
No, Duan Jansen is what I should have said. So Berendorf comes in, Jansen's out, but Arjun Tendulkar gets a game in. Are you surprised? Are you happy?
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what role. I mean, I think if he's looking to fulfill that same role he did initially up front with the new ball, we did see him get it to shape. He beat the bat a couple of times, nearly had an LBW shot. So that's the kind of role I can see him doing and fulfilling pretty well. Although when you look at it, I suppose Berendorf wouldn't mind the new ball in his hand as well. So we'll see how they balance things. And maybe they'll take him out after that and not ask him to do the middle overs or the death overs. As I say, I think his first spell was okay, so every reason to give him another go. It'll be a bigger test now. He's pretty comfortable with Wankhede Stadium, but how will he go at the new venue?
I think also when you look at how Mumbai have bowled, they've struggled to take wickets. So I absolutely agree with Polly in the sense that the lack of wicket takers has really hurt them. They only picked up 2 against RCB in the first game, 3 against Chennai. Then for Delhi, they picked up all of them, and that was because Berendorf picked up 3. And then the last game was only 6 against Kolkata. So they need to be able to take wickets regularly. Otherwise, they're chasing or not being able to kind of see the middle to late order. So maybe that's another reason why Berendorf has come in, because when he has played, he's been very effective.
And if you think back their history, I mean, the strength of, you go Bolton, Bumrah, in their top 6 for first 6 overs, Papa, they were often striking, had teams 1 or 2 down. So they'll be hoping for a fast start. Mayank Agarwal, I mean, how's he going to get on? He's the one who's been struggling, so that's the one they have to target. So in many ways you think, well, what's our best chance of knocking him over? Because if we knock him over, we kind of put a bit of an issue into their camp, and then they have to see how they take it from there. Is he playing? That's the other thing.
But we had this long discussion yesterday. There was Simon and Harsha in the studio, and everyone's kind of spoken about how MI's bowling is on the weaker side and the batsmen have to kind of fill up for them. Them batting first, Simon was completely in for it. He said that MI should bat first, put up a huge total. Are you all in the same opinion?
Yeah, the danger behind that is that if you decide to go really hard, you might end up losing wickets and losing your way. and then you've got to ask your inexperienced bowling lineup to try and defend what you've got on the board. I just think they are so well adapted to chasing that they understand what's required, and your match winners are in the batting department. So all the pressure can be taken off. We're going to see what happens today. It will be the reverse. But as I say, when you're trying to sort of protect a certain unit or part of your team, that's often where you become a little bit unstuck. You've kind of got to back them, and it's easier to back them bowling first than it is to be defending what you've put on the board.
Lisa, you agree with Simon, you agree with Polly, because Simon was really...
Be careful here now, Lisa.
Yeah. So I think depending on the pitch, right? It's how you read the pitch. So I agree with you, Polly, in the sense that, if you're batting first, you think you have to almost score 20 or 30 runs more than what you think because your bowling side is a little bit weaker. But the par score, the average score for that game in that situation might be a lot less. And you're right, you could actually really struggle. Yet you'd like to think your senior players, experienced campaigners, actually fire. But the issue is that those guys, it's only been the last game that they're fired. So then I start to think, okay, what is going to be the best situation for those guys to be able to be free and play with some freedom? And that's when I probably tend to side a little bit more with Simon in being able to bat first without the pressure or the scoreboard pressure, because things hasn't necessarily clicked for all of them.
So you're just going to sit on the fence then, are you?
No, she slid it in. She said, I slightly agree with Simon. You missed it. You missed that.
Okay. Just checking.
Just let him think what he heard, okay, Simon? Don't tell him what exactly I told him.
We'll have a look at Mumbai's playing 11 because they have chopped and changed and they have a few changes. Like we said, Berendorf comes in for Jansen and Rohit Sharma is in. He was an impact sub because of that stomach bug the other day. So the interesting thing here is they've just gone ahead with 3 overseas players. So we can see, Pollock, you think we can see Meredith come in later?
Yeah, with him bowling second, I'm sure they will try and strengthen that up. I'm not too sure who they'll maybe take out. Well, probably just be one of the batters at the top. But definitely, I think they'll want that extra experience. And also I suppose you can gauge the surface. That's the key of bowling second. You can gauge the surface, see what's going to be more effective, and see whether a spinner will get the ball to turn, or else they go with the quicker guy. So, yeah, it looks like a good batting lineup, and they've got lots of depth. Everyone's starting to find their feet and starting to play a little bit of a role. And I think Lisa's point of waiting to see what the surface does is going to be key, and they need to assess it as quickly as they can so that they try and put up a nice competitive score.
Lisa, finally it looks like the Mumbai we know, the way Mumbai bats, the way all those fans are waiting to see those 6s and 4s. We finally saw a glimpse of it in the last match. So you think, with Surya coming into the party, with Rohit, of course, wasn't too well, but things falling into place for Mumbai?
Yeah, it was given how much they've backed Ishan Kishan, for him to kind of convert those couple of 30s that he got into a half century was really important, because he's their little X factor. And then obviously Surya Kumar, we were hoping that he'd actually get some time in the middle. He finally did, got that 43, which was really important. I guess there's probably, apart from Rohit, there's probably one other player that I'm looking forward to seeing, and that's Nihal. The amount of runs that he scored in Ranji Trophy, he's only had 2 opportunities, a 21 in the first game and then a 6. So I hope that he gets a bit more time in the middle and we get to see kind of the fluent stroke maker that I've heard about. And I think he could certainly play a huge role for them. And that will allow, those Tim David to kind of come in just at the pointy end to just play his natural way. And go really hard. Yeah,
the Tim David one's a big one as well, because, you think of the success of Mumbai over the years, people like Pollard, people like Hardik Pandya at the back end. You don't always get off to the ideal start, but if you've got that hitting power, which he certainly is, if they lay a nice platform, he can be destructive.
Well, we'll have a look at Hyderabad's playing 11, because I know Umran Malik has been expensive, but I was really looking forward to seeing him play. He doesn't feature in this playing 11. Washington Sundar comes in. Surprised with that change there, Polly?
Well, it does come as a little bit of a surprise. I know he struggled, and it's like, okay, it's not the second season blues, maybe the third season blues, where people have kind of worked him out a little bit and understand what he's about. So he'll have to develop his game as he goes along. But that would suggest that maybe the surface is going to grip a little bit, because they've added the extra option of Washington Sundar, and maybe he might be used against Ishan Kishan in the first few overs. They've also got Aidan Markram up their sleeve as well. Mayank Markand, he'll be a big player again today. I think he'll have a point to prove. You know, once a Mumbai play, he's done a bit of a circuit around, but he comes to face them again, and he'll be dead keen. He's been good so far. I've liked what I've seen from him. But yeah, it's an interesting one, and it's interesting to see when you think about the tactics that they might use. I'm sure Marco Jansen will bowl the first over or so. Bhuvi's starting to really find his feet again, looking like he's confident. So that should be a good battle, and these are the ones that really test you as a bowling unit, because you look around, there's internationals there's classy internationals that you're coming up against, and it's your home ground, so you should be able to understand the conditions. But it's how can you produce, what job can you do, and how good can you be?
Lisa, you know the long list of people that I am a big fan of, and Washington Sundar is also in that big long list, because
How long is the list?
Oh, it's a really long list.
Is it?
It's
Okay.
a really long list.
It's pretty long.
Because there was a
yeah.
Jinky Rahane, Washington Sundar,
There are lots of them.
Okay.
With every team they
Devdutt
keep
Padikkal.
Padikkal,
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, to focus on Washington Sundar, because you know what he did, I still can't get that no-look six that he hit in against Australia. So I think, yes, Washington Sundar, the bowler, has a lot to improve and has a lot to do. But I feel Washington Sundar, the batsman, hasn't been utilized so much. You think this is a good inclusion, considering it looks like a pitch which probably will assist spinners?
Yeah, look, I think he's the type of player that they want to fire. So coaching staff have to kind of figure out how to best get him going. I agree to a certain extent, because I think he's a genuine all-rounder. And sometimes when you're not doing that other skill, it doesn't necessarily help your bowling. And he has found it difficult. He really has. He's going at 10 runs and over plus so far. And yet the last game he came in as an impact player. And just bowled. So, and I was surprised at that, because I do think he's handy with some runs later down. So hopefully now that he's back in the playing 11, you know, maybe they don't want him to bat, because that means that a number of wickets have fallen. But I do think him getting some opportunities with the bat might just give him a little bit more confidence with the ball.
You know, Paulie, he's spoken about how he learned a lot from Muralidharan. When you have somebody like that in the camp at one point, now of course there's Lara. He said he really worked on his bowling, a lot of tips that he got from Muralidharan. And then in this, the last domestic season, he said he's practiced a lot of power hitting, because he said that's where the game is going. DK on Cricbuzz spoke about, you know, Washi's trying his power hitting a lot. So he's doing all that's required from him for T20 cricket.
Yeah, behind the scenes, I'm sure he's trying to put extra work in. They're always trying to improve their games, but sometimes the key is to actually keep it simple and make sure that you just nail down your skills and keep developing your normal batting skills, because most people can express themselves once they get in, but it's the art of getting in. And you get into these RPL circuits and you start to just practice hitting. You kind of lose your shape. You lose your basic technique that's served you so well throughout the years. And even sometimes you've got to be careful about the information you pick up from a Muralidharan, for example, is you want to develop a little few things and add a little bit to your armory, but you don't want to overcomplicate it, because what he's been over the years is so consistent with hitting a length and landing at top of the stumps. So if he now starts to turn it more or give it some more air or go wider, that might actually go away from his game plan. So that's the key from coaching perspective. You do want to pass on as much information, but you still want to try and keep it as simple and keep them sticking to what they know best. And that's often where you get your reward. So I do get a little bit concerned at times. I often used to say to the guys, listen, at a certain net session, I don't want any slogging. You go and play 20 minutes like you're playing, getting ready for a test match. And then after that, we can have a few shots and then you go and play. Because just going back to those basics and just watching the ball closely, knowing where it is, can sometimes really help your game more than just swinging from the hip.
I really love these masterclass coaching classes that I get from Paulie. This is the second one and I really enjoy it. There's something else which, Lisa, you know, I just feel bad because when somebody's dropped from an 11, I'm not a player myself, so I don't know what goes through a player's mind. But someone like an Umran Malik, well, he has been this IPL star. He's not had the best season. Brett Lee spoke about how he should not reduce his pace, and that's one advice you give to someone like him. But now that he's dropped, where do you think his mindset's going to be?
Yeah, that all depends on the communication that's been given to that player. One thing is players like honesty. They don't like fluff. They don't want the feel-good factor. Tell them exactly where they are, where they sit in their plans, and how. And hopefully the player, Umran Malik, has gone, what do I need to do to get back into the playing 11? I agree with Brett Lee. I think someone who can bowl, 150 plus is rare. So you don't want to take that away from him, because that's his little nugget of gold. Yes, he's probably sprayed a lot. He hasn't got his line and length as well as he would have liked, and those economy rates are ridiculously high. But I think you still keep working with him at training, ensuring that he understands and get him ready, because I think he will come back and play an important role. We've already seen that with Hyderabad and what he's done, and that relationship that he has with Dale Steyn, especially last year, it was so kind of pleasant to see. Every time he picked up a wicket, he almost pointed to the dugout, and those two had a moment. It was quite cute. So he just needs to find that again, and he will be successful. But when you bowl that kind of pace, especially on these grounds, these pitches, the ball just travels. And as a bowler, sometimes you just have to suck that up. But you need coaching staff and a captain that's able to articulate that extremely well.
Yeah, I would say he mustn't give away his pace. I mean, it's a raw ingredient that's very hard to find. But unfortunately, the longer you're around, the more you've got to understand how to control that. And if you just look at the game plan that they give him, they don't bowl him in those first 6 overs. He just bowled 3 overs in the last 2 years because they can't give him the protection because he's a little bit wild. So it'll be about control. In the middle overs, you spread the field, and if they get whacked to the boundary, there's often people to stop it. But I'm sure they'll be working on trying to be consistent, because when you get raw pace, everyone's excited, and if they haven't seen you. But raw pace that's a little bit wild in these T20 games can disappear, and I think that's where they'll be at. But yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. It might also be just the nature of what they're going to experience today and the players they're coming up against.
You know, I've managed to convince our producers to let me ask a whole lot of the fan in me comes out when I sit in front of a Lisa and in front of a Polly. So I have like a tricky Tuesday question to ask. Actually, it's not so much a question, but just an opinion on who do you all think, if we can have a look at both the batting lineups of both the teams, MI and Hyderabad, if you all were sitting in the dugout or a part of the team structure, who would you pick? Which is the stronger one?
Come on, Lisa, off you go.
Oh. Well, I actually think Mumbai is a stronger one. Just because of what they've been able to do over a longer period of time. I've got question marks around Agarwal and what he's doing, but you look at the numbers that these Mumbai players are able to do. I mean, Cameron Green is still a question mark for me. What impact he potentially can have, but excellent strike rates, which is the most important thing, and they take on the bowling when they're firing. So that's where I'm going to lie with. Polly, who are you going with?
If you give me that split again, I'll just tell you what I think. So if we can show the two teams next to each other, I just think there's too much experience. I think there's too many match winners in the Mumbai department. I mean, no one would go Brook over Sharma. At this moment in time, Kishan's outdoing Agarwal. Tripatti's had a good tournament, but we've seen what the other Surya Kumar is capable of. I'd go for Markram over Varma, and I'd probably go for Abhishek Sharma at the moment over Green. And then we've seen Tim David. So 4 of them would be the Mumbai guys if I had to pick my 6 out of those 12. And I just think the experience and how regularly they've done it, it definitely gives them the one up on it. But we've got to say local conditions, hometown conditions for Sunrisers. So that kind of negates a little bit. But if you're just going any surface, have to pick the best 6, we've got to go Mumbai.
But I mean, I'm again, after what Harry Brook did the other day, he obviously is somebody who will be somebody to look forward to in the future. So even if you're looking at maybe 4 years down the line, he's somebody who's pretty much cemented himself in the IPL circuit, one can say.
You don't have to go as far as 4 years.
I mean, he'll be there for a long time.
Yeah, he will.
to come.
He'll just within this next year or so, he'll start to show more consistency. I mean, the way he's hit to international cricket is like a duck to water. I mean, he really has got that ability to express himself. He's full of confidence. I like what I see from him. It's just big adaptation to get success in the RPL will just be against spin. Can he work out a game plan? It's completely different circumstances, conditions where the ball just slides on, the odd one grips. And once he's worked that, I mean, even his 100 that he got, he kind of went with the game plan of I'll take on the fast guys. When the spin comes on, I kind of look for the single, rotate the strike, get the other guys to take them on. But there will come a time, unfortunately for him, not unfortunately, I think he's still got the ability to do it, but there will come a time where he's going to have to gain that confidence and work out that game plan so that there's no way you can tie him down with any of the options.
Lisa, somebody else from the Hyderabad team that's really impressed me is Mayank Markande. Yes, he's spent a lot of time at MI. He's spoken about how Rohit and the MI team has kind of given him that confidence to be the person that he is. And well, the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, well, he only played 2 games last year for Mumbai and picked up the 1 wicket. But the good thing is that, he's been able to go back to domestic cricket and for Punjab and first-class cricket, was able to pick up 22 wickets. And the thing is that he's been able to understand the conditions really well, really quickly. So obviously didn't play the first few games, but then he comes in and gets 4 for 15. So, anyone who can turn the ball both ways is going to be very successful in this IPL. And probably what I really liked is his consistency, whether it be line and length, to be able to then bowl his variations with confidence. And it certainly worked.
I think for me, the surprise that I've seen from Mumbai is it's such a big franchise and you need to be a strong personality to be successful in that camp because there's extra pressure that gets added and you're dealing with some unbelievable individuals. They've kind of gone away from the experience in the bowling department and they've got some guys who aren't really established internationally, maybe haven't found their feet, haven't got the confidence of being a successful international cricketer, and they've brought them in. Then they go in the spin bowling department. They've gone the opposite. They've gone, we get rid of the youngsters and we'll get the old Chawla back. And he's done brilliantly. And that's why I think those are the guys who hardened up, who can really thrive at a franchise like that. Every once in a while, you're going to get a successful youngster who's going to come in and do well. Now, on the spinning side, as I say, they've thrown a few away some really good leg spinners. I mean, Chahal was there originally. Chahar's been there and done good. Makan's come in and done his job. So those guys will be determined when they get their chance to play against Mumbai, just to show, listen, actually, we weren't the bad option and maybe you shouldn't have got it. And having been in the Mumbai camp, I know how concerned they were over the years when we used to sell people, like, these people better not come back and beat us. If we're offloading them, we don't want them to come and perform against us. So that's the challenge and that's the auction. That's what makes the RPL fun, is that guys get that second opportunity. When you're playing international cricket, you're stuck. You look at someone like Stuart McGill. He had to wait for, 10, 15 years to get a chance in order to show what he's worth and what his value is and what he can do. It's not like that in the RPL. If you don't want me, you put me in the auction and I might come back to bite you. So it's his opportunity today and we'll be interested to see how he gets on.
Yeah, it's very interesting because it almost feels like, I would like to think what's going on in Mayank Markande's head right now because this has happened quite often, like you spoke about UZ coming and bowling, or even like a Kuldeep when he went to Delhi and he was playing against Hyderabad. So these matchups are always fun. But let's quickly have a look at today's playing 11 again to remind you all that Mumbai will be batting first. So let's have a look at their playing 11. Rohit Sharma is back in. His stomach seems totally fine. So we are hoping to see a big knock from him. And Berendorf comes in for Janssen. And they will be batting first. After this, we will also see the impact player list because this... let's quickly have a look at Hyderabad's playing 11. Washington Sundar is in for Sundar. We'll have a look at the impact players list. But Lisa, we should expect an overseas bowler to come in for MI.
Yeah, and you'd expect Riley Meredith to be the one that comes in. He can bowl that serious pace as well. So unless things are really quite different, and maybe it takes to turn a lot more, given that Washington Sundar is in, that may give the local side may have read the pitch already correctly or not. I guess we'll find out and see. But you would expect, given that the only 3 internationals have been selected, so Riley Meredith is a shoo-in.
Yeah, I mean, the Mumbai side, I think they'll grow in confidence in the bowling department. But the funny thing is, as we sit here, is you kind of only know one bowler is going to bowl his full 4. Charla will bowl 4 overs, but who's going to bowl the rest? We don't know. I mean, there's no real bankers, and that's the challenge. That's the interesting thing from my side. I'm so used to saying Bolt does his 4, Bumrah does his 4. Even if Jofra Archer plays, he does his 4. Whoever it may be. But now we're kind of looking and thinking, well, who? So it'll be interesting to see what role Meredith plays, because even last game he didn't complete his 4. They kept him quite late until they really introduced him. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. But the other thing is, this SA20 we also were waiting for the Janssen matchup. Every time they're supposed to meet against each other, I think there must be something in the contract. Yeah. We're not allowed to play against each other. Our family can't cope.
Well, we have something in our contract on Cricbuzz Live, is that we have to answer Joy Factor's questions because he works very hard on these questions. So let's have a look at the Joy Factor question of the day.
We have to try and answer. We don't have to answer because we can't. Okay, here we go.
If Hasi, Maroof, David Hussey and Mark Boucher are the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th names on this list respectively, who's the first?
Marco Hussey, Maroof.
Did they get like a duck in their first IPL game?
But we have to give the name, so...
Put it up again. I'm trying to work this out. I need to focus myself.
I don't know who it is. I'm just trying to think what...
The question needs to be read a couple of times to understand his question.
2nd, 3rd, 5th names. Who is the first?
It's, I don't know. Because it wasn't yesterday was like they all played one game for IPL or something like that. Yeah, so... I'm just trying to think. I'm going with the one run, the duck.
All right, let's just play the easier game because we'll get the answers towards the end of the game. We'll just play the easier game, which is the prediction game. I finally off the mark, but Lisa, because you're home, let's give it to you first. Your prediction at the first innings point.
I'm going to go 196.
Oh. Wow.
Got a MI supporter in the blue there.
Okay, that's bigger than I'm thinking. 196. I'll go 177.
Oh, that's much lower. So I'm going to go safe and go in middle. 196.
Boring.
Yeah, I just have to play safe. 196, 177. I'm going to go with 188. We'll wait and watch and see if I get at least a 2nd win this season. That's all for now, but don't forget to join us at the 10 over point at the Cricbuzz Combox.
Jaipur via Kota.
कृपया ध्यान आपको अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत
Lucknow Junction.
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವ ಚೆನ್ನೈ ತಿರುಚಿರಾಪಳ್ಳಿ
Hyderabad Superfast Express পরবর্তী স্টেশন নেতাজি ভবন। कृपया ध्यान दें